This girl was supposed to be the secret lover of the child of destiny. Yet unexpectedly she found herself drawn to a man. She even wanted to stay and serve the man. Turns out just moments ago, the aura of the Yaogui race on Feng Clarisse was detected by the young master of the Yaogui Slain Alliance. He declared with certainty, there is indeed the aura of the Yaogui race on her. We absolutely cannot let her escape today. Feng Clarisse was completely dumbfounded. She had no idea what to do at all. Wei Kuan couldn't wait to burst into laughter. Today this alliance leader will uphold justice on behalf of heaven. And Su Longesong quickly asked the system, if I take action now, will it hinder Feng Clarisse's process of turning to the dark side? The system immediately retorted impatiently, helping the female lead Feng Clarisse turn to the dark side is one of your main tasks. I suggest you think carefully about your actions. But Su Longesong said with a serious expression, I'm helping her to gain her trust, so that I can set her up for a major fall later, making her descent into darkness even more complete. At that moment, a figure suddenly blocked Wei Kuan. Demon Daosky was the first to snort coldly. Are you courting death, kid? You dare lay a hand on Sir Su's disciple? Wei Kuan immediately forced himself to appear calm. Elder Su hasn't said anything. Don't stir up trouble here. But what unnerved him was Su Longesong suddenly darting behind him in a flash. Then he abruptly reached out and grabbed his head. He spoke slowly with a cold expression. Since when is it someone else's place to discipline my disciple? Feng Clarisse, seeing her master actually intervene, instantly showed a touched expression on her face. Wei Kuan quickly spoke up to explain. Sir Su, it might have been my mistake. Upon hearing this, Su Longesong immediately changed his expression and said, actually, it's my fault. Yesterday, while cultivating, I refined a drop of Yaogui Long Essence blood for him, which caused the misunderstanding for everyone. But then Demon Daosky beside him suddenly threw a punch, attacking Sir Su's chief disciple without even seeing clearly. You deserve to be hit. Then Yi Maple, who was nearby, suddenly spoke up and suggested, since it's a misunderstanding, why don't we shake hands and make peace? Consider it as doing me, Yi Maple, a favor. Upon hearing this, Su Longesong immediately intervened. Since Saint Yi has spoken, we naturally must heed Saint Ye's words. Prince of the demon race, please calm your anger. It's best not to let this harm our harmony. Hearing this, Demon Daosky immediately threw the person out. Seeing young master return alive, the servant immediately expressed his gratitude repeatedly, while Wei Kuan secretly swore in his heart that he must avenge this grudge. Seeing the misunderstanding resolved, the first elder expressed his intention to properly fulfill his duties as a host. But Yi Maple suddenly walked towards Snowglaze and her father. Then he bowed to Snowglaze's father. Seeing the other's flattered reaction, Yi Maple gave a slight smile. Do you remember saving a severely injured boy several years ago, Master of Snow Family? That was me. At that time I was on a training journey and couldn't reveal my true face or name, so it's no surprise you didn't recognize me. Upon hearing this, Snow Long City was overjoyed. So that person was Saint Yi. It is an honor for the Snow family to have been of assistance to Saint Yi. Then Yi Maple turned his gaze towards Snowglaze and greeted her. Miss Glaze, it's been a long time. However, Yi Maple keenly noticed Snowglaze's gaze. She was actually staring at Su Longesong the whole time. His heart sank instantly. Was Su Longesong her beloved? Snow Long City, noticing his daughter's absent-mindedness, quickly reminded her. Glaze, how can you be so rude? Saint Yi is speaking to you. Seeing Snowglaze stammering, Yi Maple sighed inwardly. So she has already forgotten after all. At that moment, Snowglaze suddenly said she had something to attend to and walked away directly. Then she went straight to Su Longesong's side and took his hand. Then with an excited look on her face she said, Longesong, my father wants to meet you. Hearing this, Su Longesong's heart skipped a beat. Was this about meeting the parents? Before long, Su Longesong and the master of the Snow family arrived at the tea room. He directly asked the master of the Snow family what he needed to see him for. Snow Long City understood that his daughter had no interest in the saint, but was particularly fond of Su Longesong. Since he couldn't hold on to one powerful connection, he absolutely couldn't afford to lose this one. At this thought, he got straight to the point and said, Then this old man will speak frankly. My daughter, Glaze, was poisoned and mistakenly entered the Ghost Corpse sect, where she was saved by you, your highness. After she recovered from her injuries, she refused to return home and instead called me, her father, here. Her feelings, I believe, Sir Su, are quite clear. If your highness also has feelings for Glaze, this old man can allow her to stay. Let her serve your highness. I have only one request. I hope to obtain an opportunity from Sir Su to advance to the supreme level. The girl lost her balance due to carrying an excessive load of wood. Unexpectedly, she was steadied by the man's strong hands. The girl then declared that she would follow him for the rest of her life. It turns out that just moments ago, Su Longesong stepped in to help Feng Clarisse clear up the misunderstanding. She finally broke free from the entanglement of the Yaoguai Slain Alliance's young master. Afterward, she went alone to the back hill. She wanted to tell Sister Yaoguai Lan the news of her winning first place in the competition. But unexpectedly, Yi Maple suddenly appeared and stopped her. Seeing the shock on Feng Clarisse's face, Yi Maple quickly explained, "Don't be nervous, I'm not here to cause you trouble." And Feng Clarisse, not wanting to get entangled with him, prepared to leave. But she was stopped by Yi Maple raising his hand. "Have you never thought, given your master's strength, why would he specifically choose someone with such a low cultivation level like you as his disciple? You possess the legendary Nine-Nether Imperial Phoenix body from ancient tales, carrying a trace of the Nine-Nether Empress's legacy. Once your bloodline awakens, even the prodigies of the divine realm would pale in comparison. By then, Su Longesong will seize the opportunity to steal your bloodline and destroy your imperial body, leaving no one in the world as his match. And this is the true purpose behind him taking you as his disciple. If you come with me to the Azure Long Sacred Land, I can help you awaken the bloodline within you. I swear by the name of the Azure Long Sacred Land Saint that I will not deceive you." Upon hearing this, Feng Clarisse let out a cold sneer. "I thought the Saint of Azure Long Sacred Land must be exceptionally intelligent, but it turns out there are moments of foolishness too. Do you think I would trust a chance acquaintance like you, or the master I have relied on for years? Your attempt at sowing discord is far from clever." After saying this, Feng Clarisse impatiently brushed his hand away and made to leave. Just as Feng Clarisse left, an ancient aura emanated from Yi Maple. The powerful soul was quite displeased. "I told you long ago, we should have just taken her away directly. You insist on upholding the dignity of Azure Long Sacred Land. Someone as self-important as you is just being overly cautious." Upon hearing this, Yi Maple's face twisted into a snarl as he roared, "Shut up!" At the same time, Su Longesong had also finished his conversation with Snowglaze's father. As soon as Su Longesong stepped out the door, Snowglaze hurriedly approached and asked, "How did it go? What did my father say to you?" And Su Longesong gave a faint smile. "Your father has sold you to me. What do you think we should do?" Upon hearing this, Snowglaze's cheeks instantly flushed red. She looked up and met his gaze. Then she proactively placed her fair, jade-like hand on him. "Since that's the case, from now on, Glaze will follow you and go nowhere else. From the moment young Master Su saved me, I have long considered myself to be young Master Su's person." Instantly, the system sounded a notification. Snowglaze's favorability increased by 5. Current Snowglaze favorability towards the host has reached over 80. The host has completely disrupted the development of the romantic relationship between the male lead, Yi Maple, and Snowglaze. Random reward: 666 scumbag points. Yi Maple's destiny and fate damaged. Reward: 2000 destiny value. Su Longesong couldn't help but let out a helpless smile upon hearing this. "Don't say I'm stealing your love. Blame yourself for not being capable enough, and blame this damn system and world." In the bamboo forest shrouded in thick mist behind Cloud Pavilion, a strange voice suddenly rang out. "Little girl, stop running. Come back to Azure Long Sacred Land with us. I, an ancient fragment of a divine weapon, have roamed the heavens and earth for 3,000 years, yet I have never encountered such a heaven-defying physique and bloodline as yours. As long as you come back with me, I guarantee you will dominate the world in the future." Upon hearing this, Feng Clarisse's eyes instantly turned cold as she spun around and shouted, "Get out of my way!" Seeing that Feng Clarisse refused to comply, Emperor Devourer immediately waved his hand, unleashing a torrent of dark spiritual power that blotted out the sky. Since persuasion had failed, he had no choice but to resort to force. In an instant, the dark spiritual power surged toward Feng Clarisse, overwhelming the sky and earth. It was about to envelop her body in the blink of an eye. But at that very moment, a sharp, clear sound of something cutting through the air suddenly rang out. Demon Daosky suddenly threw a fierce punch, smashing it directly onto Emperor Devourer's head. Then with an angry sneer he said, "Even Yi Maple wouldn't dare to lay a finger on Su Longesong's disciple. You really have quite the nerve, don't you?" The soul of Emperor Devourer immediately expressed displeasure. "Damn, this reckless kid still hasn't left. I'll leave him to you." And upon hearing this, Yi Maple immediately stepped forward. "Demon Daosky gave you time to recuperate, yet you still insist on meddling in others' affairs. It seems you're truly tired of living. seeing Demon Daosky being intimidated by his own kingly aura. Yi Maple then spoke to Feng Clarisse again. Don't you understand? If Su Longesong truly cared for you, you are far beyond this stage now, and the Sword Cloud Immortal sect is not qualified to cultivate you. This girl possesses the rare and extraordinary Nine-Nether Imperial Phoenix physique. She was unexpectedly chosen by the remnant soul of a divine weapon. The remnant soul intended to take her away and accept her as a disciple. But Feng Clarisse absolutely refused to go with it. So Yi Maple earnestly tried to persuade her. If Su Longesong truly treated you sincerely, you wouldn't just be at this stage now. But Feng Clarisse just shook her head. You don't need to persuade me. I won't go with you. At that moment, a clear and indifferent voice suddenly appeared in the ears of the group without warning. Since Saint looks down on my Sword Cloud Immortal sect so much, Lung Tian will not entertain you any longer. Please leave. Seeing the arrival of her master, Feng Clarisse quickly turned her head to look. When she caught sight of that elegant and extraordinary figure, one that felt incredibly dear and familiar to her, a faint radiant smile instantly lit up her bright little face. But the old monster still refused to give up. If you don't truly intend to take that girl as your disciple, then don't stand in the way of her path to greatness. Upon hearing this, a flash of anger instantly crossed Su Longesong's face. The next second, his figure vanished from the spot. Then he appeared out of thin air in front of the old monster. A mere fragment of a divine weapon, yet so talkative. After saying that, Su Longesong's fist came crashing down. A seemingly light punch. Yet it carried the power to annihilate heaven and earth. After it was done, Su Longesong immediately said with a cold expression, "If you can't control your mouth, then I'll make sure you shatter completely." With just one punch, he actually shattered the old monster's soul body. And as Yi Maple caught the fragments of the divine weapon transformed from the old monster, he was instantly speechless. Su Longesong no longer cared about Yi Maple's status as a candidate for the Azure Long Sacred Land Saint, and directly signaled for him to get lost. Yi Maple fell silent. He just gave Su Longesong and Feng Clarisse a deep look. He then directly transformed into a stream of light and departed. Demon Daosky immediately burst into laughter and mocked, "Coward, get lost." But unexpectedly, Su Longesong turned around and kicked him, saying, "You can get lost too." Meanwhile, Feng Clarisse couldn't help but speak timidly to Su Longesong. "Master." Before she could finish speaking, Su Longesong directly signaled, "Disciple, let's go." The scene shifts to the dead of night, as members of the Yaogui Slain Alliance whoosh past on the rooftops. And their target is none other than the sect leader of the Sword Cloud Immortal sect, Sword Skywalker. He watched as several mysterious figures suddenly charged toward him. Sword Skywalker's expression changed abruptly. "Who are you people?" The next second, screams echoed throughout the city. Before long, the head of Sword Skywalker appeared before Wei Kuan. His eyes instantly narrowed with satisfaction as he said, "Excellent, Agent Wei. As you wished, Sword Skywalker has been eliminated by our alliance. With this, the Sword Cloud Immortal sect is left leaderless, and will surely suffer a major setback. No force can hinder our plans any longer. Spread the word. At that time, all the prodigy disciples from the Northern Desolate Realm will gather in our demon-slaying city. Once Agent Wei's plan is successfully implemented, the entire Northern Desolate Realm will follow the lead of our demon-slaying alliance." As soon as these words were spoken, the underlings immediately began shouting in unison, "The demon-slaying alliance shall rule the Northern Desolate." Meanwhile, Agent Wei sneered inwardly, thinking, "These fools are so easily deceived. Once our Empress is revived, you'll truly understand what fear means. The mere 5 great domains are nothing in the eyes of our heavenly evil race." Meanwhile, Su Longesong and several elders also received the news of the sect leader's death. Zhou Yuan was the first to stand up, angrily exclaiming, "The Sword Cloud Immortal sect and the Yaogui Slain Alliance have always kept to their own affairs without interference. Just because their young master was embarrassed in our sect, they plotted to kill our sect leader. It's utterly outrageous." Bai Yunchun, on the other hand, calmly analyzed, "Wei Kuan alone definitely doesn't have the ability to kill the sect leader. There must be other forces involved behind this. In 3 days, the Northern Desolate Mythic Realm will open in Yaogui Slain City. It's possible there is some connection between these 2 events." The 4th elder also chimed in. "Elder Bai makes a valid point. I've heard that the father of the Yaogui Slain Alliance's leader, Wei Kuan, has been in seclusion for many years and is on the verge of reaching the supreme stage. It's possible he has secretly emerged and is plotting trouble. Moreover, since they dared to kill our sect leader, they must have already devised a strategy to deal with us. This is clearly aimed at us. What should we do now, Elder Su?" After the elders finished speaking, all eyes fell on Su Longesong simultaneously. Seeing this, Su Longesong immediately stood up decisively. Both emotionally and logically, since the sect leader was killed, this vengeance must be avenged. Even if the Yaogwai Slain Alliance sets up an inescapable net, we still have to attend the meeting. If we are intimidated and retreat, we would fall right into their trap. We cannot afford to lose our momentum from the start. In 3 days, the Northern Desolate Realm Mythic Realm will open. Although it's a trap, it is also a tremendous opportunity. All disciples from before to after the spiritual infant stage, follow me to the Yaogwai Slain Alliance. As for their members, I will deal with them personally. This girl is serving as a maid for the first day. She actually went to a man's room on her own initiative late at night and accepted the man's cruel punishment. Just moments ago, the news of sect leader Sword Skywalker's death has reached the Sword Cloud Immortal sect. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuan's face lit up with joy. Then the fourth elder spoke up, proposing, "The sect leader has fallen, and we cannot be without a leader." Elder Su possesses both strength and reputation, making him the ideal candidate for the new sect leader. After speaking, several elders bowed in unison and said, "We respectfully welcome the new sect leader." Su Longesong did not refuse but instead thought to himself, "I have already taken control of one of the two paths, the righteous and the evil." Afterward, Su Longesong returned to his residence. The current Northern Desolate Mythic Realm was the first major opportunity after his rebirth, a place that all immortal cultivators felt compelled to visit. He needed to make thorough preparations. He browsed through the system mall for a while. He then decided to spend 10,000 destiny value to exchange for 2 supreme puppets. In an instant, 2 puppets clad in demonic armor materialized out of thin air, hovering silently in place. Their faces were expressionless, their eyes hollow and vacant, yet the aura emanating from them was so powerful it could shatter even the spatial spiritual energy. The system issued another prompt. This puppet has reached the supreme stage, but it lacks any cultivation method or martial arts, and has no practical combat experience. It still requires the host's dedicated cultivation. Only then can its strength be fully unleashed. However, these things couldn't stump him. He chose to continue exchanging without hesitation. He directly infused the 2 heaven-tier cultivation methods into the 2 puppets. Now, with the cultivation level and cultivation methods secured, the next step is practical combat and refinement. With this thought, Su Longesong immediately employed the soul-controlling technique to split his consciousness. Then he infused his consciousness into the 2 puppets. Then Su Longesong controlled the puppets to casually throw a punch, directly tearing open a spatial rift. Then he took control of this puppet's body and stepped through the spatial gate alongside another puppet. In the next moment, a rift quietly tore open amidst the distorted spiritual power somewhere in the center of the continent. Su Longesong felt the scene before his eyes abruptly change, and in an instant, they found themselves in an utterly unfamiliar place. Under the vast starry sky, a majestic and grandly constructed sect appeared before his eyes. He immediately recognized this place as the Myriad Spirits domain, the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect. Located at the heart of the continent, it was extremely far from the Northern Desolate Realm. Causing trouble here would have no repercussions, and the disciples of the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect were already terrified out of their wits. Enemy attack. Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect. Prepare to face the enemy. Immediately, a large number of immortal cultivators surged out from within the sect. Su Longesong charged down without a moment's hesitation. Although he had no grudge against the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect, but he needed someone to practice his skills on. They can only blame the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect for being unlucky. At the same time, Su Longesong's room door was quietly pushed open. Then Snowglaze's graceful and charming figure entered the room. She closed the door behind her and called out softly, "Sir Su." But Su Longesong had no idea that he was in the midst of a fierce battle with the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect. But 2 supreme puppets. Clearly, it's not something the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect can contend with. Su Longesong, getting more and more carried away in the heat of battle, directly activated his cultivation technique and unleashed the Grand Formation. After annihilating all the unfortunate experts of the Myriad Spirits Immortal Sect, he immediately let out a hearty laugh. What a relief! Destroying a sect while familiarizing myself with cultivation techniques in actual combat has truly solidified my cultivation base and accelerated my progress remarkably. Now he is only 1 step away from the final breakthrough. Suddenly, Su Longesong unleashed the spirit finger technique towards the sky to summon the terrifying power of heavenly thunder. He harnessed the thunderous force of the heavenly lightning, tempering the puppet's body with it. At the moment the heavenly thunder tempering was completed, Su Longesong immediately declared, "With my voice I shake all things, with this body I break through 10,000 armies." Then Su Longesong withdrew the puppet and returned his consciousness to his true body. Seeing Su Longesong open his eyes, Snowglaze immediately pressed close eagerly. "Your Highness, you're finally awake." Su Longesong immediately teased, "I just finished over there and now you're making me busy here. Let's see how I punish you." With that, Su Longesong flipped over and pinned Snowglaze down. Then the two engaged in a physical battle that lasted for several hours. 3 days later in Yaoguaislain City, one could see countless figures filling the sky, with people continuously flying in from the northern desolate mythic realm. These immortal cultivators had been eagerly anticipating this for an entire year. As soon as Bai Yunchen entered the city, he immediately began to curse loudly. "Wei Kuan, you have unjustly murdered the leader of my Sword Cloud Immortal sect. Our sect will not let you get away with this." Guanman Wei Kuan sneered disdainfully and laughed. "Not let me off? Your Sword Cloud Immortal sect no longer even bothers to hide its dirty deeds. How dare you come to me with accusations? You openly parade around with the 3 monsters of Yaoguai in broad daylight. Sword Skywalker and even the entire Sword Cloud Immortal sect are colluding with the Yaoguai race. This Yaoguai Sonk is the evidence. I am acting." The Yaoguai Sonk that came knocking on the door was treated as heir by the man. She was desperately eager to destroy the tower, because the 9-tailed jade fox inside the tower had an even more impressive size. Just a moment ago, Su Longesong and the others have just arrived at Yaoguaislain City. They were immediately accused by Wei Kuan of colluding with the Yaoguai race. Bai Yunchen felt quite helpless about this. Since Longesong became the sect leader, the Yaoguai Sonk, who had been hiding in the back mountain all along, also started to show up in public. Su Longesong responded with great authority. "A clear conscience fears no accusation. Miss Yaoguailan is an old friend of mine and has nothing to do with the Sword Cloud Immortal sect. If you insist on opposing us, I will take you on. Once the Mythic Realm journey is over, I will settle the score with you properly." Yet Wei Kuan laughed arrogantly and said, "I'll be waiting for you. Even if you don't come looking for me, I Wei Kuan will come for you. You'd better get ready to meet your doom." Upon hearing this, Su Long sneered inwardly, thinking, "So arrogant, he must have someone powerful backing him up." After delivering his harsh words, Wei Kuan signaled to the little minion beside him and said, "Enough talk. Let's open the Mythic Realm. Northern Desolate Mythic Realm, Northern Desolate Realm. Every favored child of heaven is welcome to enter. This year it's Yaoguaislain City's turn to hold the key. Even though our alliance has a grudge with Sword Cloud Immortal sect, I, in my generosity, will allow you to enter." The next moment, violent spatial spiritual power trembled above everyone's heads. The space was forcibly torn apart by spiritual power, creating an enormous rift. The crowd's gaze suddenly turned fervent, and they surged eagerly toward the entrance. Figures flashed by in an instant, rushed straight into that spatial rift. Su Longesong also signaled the members of the Sword Cloud Immortal sect to enter with confidence and boldness. According to the practice of previous years, the stability of the passage requires someone to maintain it, so he must remain outside. Then Su Longesong noticed the figure in the black robe beside Wei Kuan. He couldn't help but secretly marvel. It's actually the heavenly evil race. Wei Kuan and the heavenly evil race are attempting to be the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Little do they know, I am the oriole waiting behind. Su Longesong has stealthily released those 2 supreme puppets and manipulated them to infiltrate the Mythic Realm. Those who entered the Mythic Realm soon discovered the primordial demon-suppressing tower. Everyone's eyes immediately burned with fervor. The primordial demon-suppressing tower is a legendary heaven-tier spiritual weapon, left behind by an ancient supreme powerhouse. Simply acquiring it would elevate one to the pinnacle of power in a single step. However, persuading a spiritual weapon to accept a master is no easy feat. Otherwise, despite the Mythic Realm having opened so many times, the primordial demon-suppressing tower would not still be here. Yet, driven by their personal ambitions, the lesser cultivators still fiercely competed for the chance to try. Yet unexpectedly, fierce gales suddenly swirled around the tower, coalescing into chains as solid as reality. The little one at the forefront had his body instantly pierced through. For a moment the air was filled with endless cries of agony. It was evident that the demon tower was absorbing the spiritual chi of those immortal cultivators through the chains. And a person who was still breathing suddenly shouted to Su Longesong, "Save me!" But Su Longesong replied coldly, Cultivation and ascending to immortality are inherently acts of defying the heavens. Opportunities are fraught with dangers at every turn. How can one always expect someone to save them? You are beyond saving. Let me send you on your way. A painless passing. Consider this your final stroke of luck. Next, I will see what this demon-suppressing tower truly is. With that thought, Su Longesong willed the puppet to leap forward. But unexpectedly, the supreme puppet's kick couldn't even scratch the chains in the slightest. In just a moment, the puppet was tightly bound around the waist by the chains. Su Longesong immediately felt a headache coming on. The chains were inanimate objects driven by spiritual energy, yet he couldn't sense any spiritual energy. This was indeed a tricky situation. As the surrounding chains surged toward the puppet one after another, Su Longesong, however, smiled faintly. This newly refined supreme puppet of mine can't be broken so easily. The next second, those iron chains crashed down heavily onto the puppet's body. But the supreme puppet, enveloped in spiritual qi, still stood proudly and unyieldingly. Su Longesong immediately shouted, "To force me into using this move, what kind of fiend is sealed within this demon tower? Fellow cultivator, please reveal yourself." As soon as the words fell, a terrifying surge of spiritual power suddenly shook the earth, causing even the primordial demon-suppressing tower to tremble violently. Then a pair of soft mutton fat-like feet gently touched the void. A red-dressed maiden with a delicate and graceful figure appeared. Then a melodious voice came through. "After all these years, I've finally encountered a supreme powerhouse. Through this long, endless time, I've at last met a supreme powerhouse." Just then, the system suddenly issued a prompt. "Host, please raise Jade Linglong's favorability to over 80 points and subdue the nine-tailed fox race." Mission completed. Reward, 5,000 scumbag points. Failure will result in the host's cultivation stage being lowered by 1 level. Su Longesong immediately felt a headache coming on. Truly worthy of the super scumbag system. Every time it encounters a beautiful woman, it insists on conquering her. This nine-tailed fox demon, imprisoned in the demon-suppressing tower for hundreds of years. Now, in order to break free from her predicament, she actually lifted her clothes in front of the man and promised that as long as she could be set free, she would show him something even more wonderful afterward. Just a moment ago, Su Longesong unexpectedly discovered inside the demon-suppressing tower that was actually suppressing a bewitching nine-tailed yaoguai fox. And the system also issued a task for him to subdue the nine-tailed yaoguai fox. Although this scumbag system left Su Longesong speechless. But speaking of which, nine-tailed is truly captivating. She noticed the puppet staring straight at her. Jade Linglong suddenly struck an even more seductive pose and asked, "Do you like what you see? If you get me out of this demon-suppressing tower, I can show you something even better." Su Longesong responded without hesitation, "I can help you, but on one condition. Within a year, you must stay by my master Sir Su's side." Upon hearing this, Jade Linglong frowned slightly and began weighing the pros and cons. "I've been imprisoned here for centuries. He is the only supreme expert who has managed to evade all my attacks. If I miss this opportunity, who knows how many more years I'll have to wait." With this thought, Jade Linglong immediately made up her mind. "All right, I agree," she said. No sooner had the words been spoken than Su Longesong, fearing the girl might change her mind, immediately commanded the puppet to charge forward, his hands swiftly forming seals. Ancient and intricate seals took shape in his hands in an instant. This is none other than the demon-refining ancient god desolate heaven seal. Amidst the surging impact of spiritual qi, the demon-suppressing tower instantly crumbled and collapsed. She broke free from the imprisonment of the demon-suppressing tower. Jade Linglong's face immediately lit up with joy. She finally regained her freedom. But when she saw the puppet approaching, she immediately felt displeased. "What, are you afraid I'll run away?" Su Longesong patiently explained, "That's not the case. You've been suppressed for many years, and now your strength is less than half of what it was at its peak. Even if you tried to escape, you'd likely fall into someone else's hands. It's better to stay with me and properly recover your vitality. I still have other matters to attend to in the mythic realm. Let's go." As soon as these words were spoken, Jade Linglong immediately frowned. "Don't order me around," she thought, never imagining that she, the esteemed nine-tailed empress, would have to bow her head and submit to someone else. So she secretly vowed, "One day, I will make you fall at the feet of my nine-tailed majesty. Only then will I properly deal with you." At the same time, Bai Yunchen led the immortal sect members as they swiftly dashed forward. As she ran, she explained, "The northern desolate mythic realm, also known as the Nine Heavens and 10 Palaces, is most famous for the heavenly illusion sanctuary. Legend has it that within lies divine weapons and secret treasures left behind by the supreme divine emperor. If one can inherit even a single legacy, their immortal path would be limitless. Upon hearing this, Yao Guilan gave a faint smile. Most people confident in their abilities would likely choose to head to the heavenly illusion sanctuary in search of opportunities. However, the sanctuary's barrier had remained unbroken for centuries. Getting inside was far easier said than done. Bai Yunchen immediately retorted with displeasure. If it were easy, wouldn't everyone be able to ascend to the heavens? Just then, a voice transmission suddenly came from ahead. Our clan's experts have already broken through the heavenly illusion sanctuary, which will soon open. If you seek the supreme inheritance of the heavenly illusion sanctuary, come quickly. Bai Yunchen and the others were instantly shocked upon hearing this. What? The backer that the Yaogui Slain Alliance found this time is so powerful that they actually managed to break the heavenly illusion sanctuary? It seems Wei Kuan and his team are determined to succeed. The minor members of the other sects, upon receiving the message, immediately couldn't wait to get a piece of the action. But Feng Clarisse calmly sensed something amiss. Any normal person would want to keep resources to themselves. Why would they specifically tell us about this? Could there be some scheme behind it? Bai Yunchen also felt it made sense, so she spoke up to remind everyone. Let's be careful and see what they're really up to. Then she instructed everyone to hold their breath and proceed stealthily. Do not reveal our path. At this moment, the entrance of Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary was already crowded with people. Everyone exclaimed in admiration. The Yaogui Slain Alliance is amazing. However, they discovered that there was no entrance nearby at all. Meanwhile, Bai Yunchen and the others were hiding nearby, with no intention of showing themselves. Yao Guilan couldn't help but frown. According to the news, it seemed like everyone in the mythic realm had gathered here. And the black-robed figure on the stage saw that enough people had gathered below. So he reminded young Master Wei Kuan that it was about time to begin. However, Wei Kuan sneered coldly. Not yet. The people from the Sword Cloud Immortal sect haven't arrived. As soon as the words were spoken, the little minions who had long been lying in ambush all around, they suddenly leaped out from behind Bai Yunchen and the others. By the time Bai Yunchen realized he had fallen into a trap, it was already too late. The charging black-robed figure suddenly pulled out a large net from his cloak. He cast it directly toward the three of them. The talisman-covered magical tool was flung out, instantly trapping all three beauties. The girl just casually spat out a mouthful of saliva. Unexpectedly, it made the man even more excited, and he even threatened to have a wild time with them in public. Just now, Feng Clarisse and others arrived at the Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary. Unexpectedly, they were ambushed by members of the Yaogui Slain Alliance. Meanwhile, Wei Kuan rallied the others, declaring that the gate of the Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary required their combined strength to open, and that the treasures and divine weapons inside would be theirs once it was done. The little guy in the audience immediately shouted excitedly, "Young Master Wei is truly righteous." However, they failed to notice that the robed figures had already formed a formation. In an instant, countless streaks of dark light shot out, instantly transforming into a massive cage. The little ducklings finally realized that things weren't as simple as they seemed. Meanwhile, the figure in the black cloak let out a cold laugh. To open the door, offer up your power. With that, the soul conversion death formation abruptly activated. The trapped little creature let out continuous agonizing screams. Wei Kuan immediately laughed with satisfaction. As I, this young master, said, everything inside belongs to our Yaogui Slain Alliance. You fools should just obediently offer up your spiritual qi. At this very moment, the Yaogui Slain Alliance's Xiao Gaga also brought Feng Clarisse and the others up. They didn't forget to flatter, saying, just as you predicted, they were lurking in the shadows. Now they are all bound by the immortal binding rope. Please decide their fate, young master. Wei Kuan immediately stepped forward and pinched Bai Yunchen's chin, saying, that Su Longesong really knows how to play around. Not even sparing fellow disciples from his own sect is enough, and now he's even got this kind of demon race's mature beauty. I'd love to have a taste of that flavor too. Upon hearing this, Feng Clarisse immediately spat out a mouthful of saliva and shouted, shut up! Don't you dare insult my master. But that spit only made Wei Kuan even more excited. Don't rush. Once your spiritual power is completely gone, I'll feed you some spring harmony powder. The four of us can have a good time together. I'll let you experience what it truly feels like to be cherished. As soon as these words were spoken, Bai Yunchen's face instantly darkened. If you dare touch me, the Bai family will never let you get away with it. However, Wei Kuan responded with a look of disdain. So what if it's the Bai family? My father will soon become the first supreme powerhouse of the northern desolate realm. By then, all three great families will have to bow down to us. So, you'd better submit to me sooner rather than later. But at that very moment, a golden light suddenly shot out, piercing through his palm with pinpoint accuracy. The excruciating pain instantly made Wei Kuan let out a ghostly scream. Several beauties, seeing that someone had come to their rescue, they instantly became excited. And the person who arrived was none other than the supreme puppet controlled by Su Longesong. Enraged, Wei Kuan immediately signaled all his subordinates to attack. While the supreme puppet remained motionless, a powerful surge of spiritual qi erupted from its body. Then, a terrifying killing intent burst from its eyes as it slowly scanned the crowd. The next second, a vast and overwhelming terrifying aura surged from within him instantly, sending the minions of the Yaoguai Slain Alliance flying, repelled by the spiritual energy. Then, the flames formed by spiritual energy began to fiercely burn their bodies. Seeing this, Wei Kuan quickly lowered his voice and asked Agent Wei, "What should we do?" Agent Wei responded very indifferently, saying, "I am well aware of the level of the Yaoguai Slain Alliance. I never intended to rely on you three, the great protectors." Bai Yunqin was instantly shocked. 3 half-step supremes? No wonder they had the ability to set up such a grand formation. They were hiding such powerful experts all along. Su Longesong, however, responded with a cold sneer and charged toward the 3 of them first. He let out a sigh. 3 half-step supremes. What a pity, what a pity. Once broken, they're gone for good. Seeing the puppet charging at him, one of them decisively activated Frost's shield, ready to withstand the impact. But in the face of absolute power, any struggle is futile. Seeing the puppet's formidable combat prowess, the other 2 decisively unleashed their ultimate secret techniques. Combining the half-step supreme spirits of the 2, they achieved supreme power. However, Su Longesong, seeing this, immediately activated the flames on his body to summon the supreme Dharma manifestation. The disparity in combat power between the 2 sides was simply too vast. The remaining 2 were instantly annihilated by his Dharma manifestation, vanishing without a trace. Seeing all those powerful figures evaporated by the puppet, Wei Kuan's eyelids immediately began twitching uncontrollably. Just as he was about to make a run for it, Su Longesong stopped him. Then he suddenly reached out and grabbed him by the neck. Wei Kuan was completely panicked now. "Don't do anything reckless. My father will be out of seclusion soon. Once he emerges, he'll reach the supreme stage, and there will be no match for him in the entire northern desolate realm." But Su Longesong merely let out a cold sneer and, without a moment's hesitation, snapped his neck. The rescued cultivators finally vented their pent-up anger. They all planned to settle scores with the Yaoguai Slain Alliance as soon as they got out. The Sword Cloud Immortal sect and others hurried forward to express their gratitude. Su Longesong had no intention of revealing his identity. "Your master entrusted me to take both of you into the Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary. The sect leader has given orders. This place is no longer safe. Elder Bai, quickly lead the disciples to seek other opportunities." Then Su Longesong turned his head to look at the 9-tailed Yaoguai fox, Jade Linglong. She immediately understood and said, all right. With my current abilities, there's no way I can escape. I'll just wait here for you, okay?" The Heaven Evil Empress, after 1,000 years of slumber, finally awakens. Unexpectedly, upon opening her eyes, she calls a man her husband. Just moments ago, Su Longesong was manipulating the supreme puppet. He is preparing to bring Feng Clarisse and Yaoguai Lan into the sanctuary, to prevent Jade Linglong from escaping. He also didn't forget to signal her to wait in place. Then Su Longesong activated his spiritual power, aiming directly at the Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary. He merely waved his hand. A spatial rift appeared directly before him. After finishing, he turned around and instructed, "You can enter the Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary through this spatial rift. However, once inside, we might be temporarily separated. If you're lucky, you may find your own opportunities." As soon as the words were spoken, the spatial rift suddenly began to tremble violently. Feng Clarisse, caught in the powerful suction instantly, couldn't help but let out a startled scream. Su Longesong, after enveloping them with a spiritual power shield, signaled, "Don't be afraid, protect yourself. Fate will guide your path." Feng Clarisse only felt a blur before her eyes, and when she opened them again, she found herself in a grand hall. At the same time, Yaoguai Lan arrived in another grand hall. Standing in the Yaoguai God Hall, she gazed at the enormous skeleton before her, and couldn't help but reveal a smile. "Finally found you, bone of the Yaoguai God. Meanwhile, Su Longesong was teleported to the tomb of the Divine Queen within the Crystal Palace. But to his surprise, his divine consciousness was forcibly pulled out, and the supreme puppet he had been controlling abruptly collapsed to the ground. He immediately understood the mystery. This barrier could only be traversed by spiritual entities. Then he noticed the crystal coffin before him suddenly erupting with dazzling, colorful light. Inside, a peerlessly beautiful figure, adorned with a phoenix crown and radiant robes, lay peacefully in slumber. Her snow-white hair cascaded down to her waist, her eyes gently closed, and her hands crossed over her chest as she rested serenely. The maiden's countenance. It was so beautiful that even Su Longesong was left stunned, staring in awe. At that moment, a surge of spiritual energy suddenly erupted in the space, and an elder formed from condensed spiritual power respectfully bowed to him, saying, "You have finally arrived. My king, I have waited for you for 1,000 years and finally see you. However, my king, the queen has been in eternal slumber for millennia and has waited for you far too long." Upon hearing this, Su Longesong felt very strange. Could he have mistaken me for someone else? I have no memory of any of this. But the old man suddenly spoke again. "My king, allow this old servant to now release the heavenly coffin seal for the queen. You have been apart for over 1,000 years. It is time for you to reunite." Then the old man raised his long staff. All the spiritual power around him surged violently toward the crystal heavenly coffin. In the next second, the crystal coffin shattered abruptly, revealing the girl's breathtakingly beautiful face in its entirety. The old man, struggling to hold himself up, spoke. "For 1,000 years my last remaining soul has guarded this crystal coffin, awaiting the day when the Divine King and Divine Queen would reunite. I can now die without regrets." Amidst the gray-robed elder's hearty laughter, the woman's eyelashes fluttered lightly as her eyes slowly opened. Her snow-white pupils first showed a trace of confusion, but when she clearly saw Su Longesong's face, she softly spoke, "My husband Luor, I've finally seen you again." As she finished speaking, a faint smile gradually appeared at the corner of her lips on her exquisite face, and even her voice was utterly enchanting. At this, Su Longesong was completely stunned. Husband? Who was her husband? Then he suddenly realized that, with the Millennium Seal broken and the spiritual power here depleted, the inner hall could no longer hold up. But the woman suddenly shed tears of happiness and murmured, "Husband Luor is waiting for you outside." Before Su Long could figure out what was happening, the woman vanished from the crystal coffin. Then he sensed an intense surge of evil energy ahead, along with the aura of Yao Guilan. It was clear that Yao Guilan might be in danger. Without a second thought, Su Long immediately attached his divine consciousness to the supreme puppet. His top priority now was to check on Yao Guilan's condition without delay. Meanwhile, the colossal bone of the Yao Gui god began to move, possessing a strength nearly approaching the supreme level. Just as the skeleton charged towards Yao Guilan, Su Longesong arrived just in time. He punched it directly, sending it flying away. Seeing this, Yao Guilan suddenly raised her head. Her pupils instantly contracted upon seeing it was a supreme puppet. Yao Guilan hadn't expected this skeleton to endure through such a long passage of time. It still possesses such formidable strength. However, Su Longesong suddenly broke away from the fight and asked Yao Guilan, "Are you okay?" Upon hearing this, Yao Guilan immediately laughed and said, "Sister Su Longesong, I knew it was you all along playing tricks." Su Longesong no longer concealed herself. "I once said I would always protect you by your side. Even if it means in a different way, I will keep that promise." This girl accidentally entered the Yao Gui god main house. And she, amidst endless trials and rebirths, she successfully awakened the 9 Nether Imperial Phoenix bloodline within her body. Just moments ago, Su Longesong intervened at the critical moment to save Yao Guilan. Yao Guilan couldn't help but purse her lips into a smile, her violet eyes fixed unblinkingly on Su Longesong. Then she flew toward the bone of the Yao Gui god and said calmly, "No matter what, thank you for your help. This final step, I must complete with my own hands." After saying this, Yao Guilan suddenly made her move. She channeled Yao Gui Qi to envelop the skeleton. The next second, the bone of the Yao Gui god was easily suppressed by Yao Guilan. Then Yao Guilan took out a strange pearl, preparing to absorb this skeleton. But in the blink of an eye, that massive skeleton was absorbed by the pearl, sucked in by the immense pulling force it emitted. After completing the absorption, the Yao Gui bloodline within Yao Guilan suddenly erupted with a powerful aura. Then Yao Guilan stuck out her tongue. She leaned close to the puppet and said seductively, "Thank you, Longesong." Meanwhile, Feng Clarisse was alone in the Yao Gui god main house. But then, A scorching red phoenix suddenly flew out from the main hall. Yet, the phoenix showed no intention of harming her. Instead, it hovered motionless before her. Then the fiery phoenix dissolved into streaks of flame. Quietly, a peculiar mark formed on Feng Clarisse's forehead. At this moment, the bloodline power within Feng Clarisse was finally activated. Originally just a cultivator who had newly entered the vital core stage, her aura had now reached the pinnacle of the transcendent spirit stage. Then the space gradually fell into silence. Suddenly, a voice of approval rang out. As expected of the inheritor of the Nine Nether Imperial Phoenix body, you truly carry a hint of the Nine Nether Empress's grace. I, the Venerable One, have roamed the ancient times for 3,000 years. You are the only woman who has ever satisfied me, the Venerable One. Upon hearing this, Feng Clarisse immediately wondered to herself, what is the Nine Nether Imperial Phoenix body? The moment I stepped into the inner hall, I was already under an illusion, wasn't I? In that illusion, I was burned countless times, countless rebirths. Yet, the heavenly demon sovereign spoke once more. Through endless tempering and rebirth, your Nine Nether Imperial Phoenix body has been awakened by me. If you become my disciple, I will impart to you all the supreme legacies accumulated over millennia within this heavenly demon hall. Feng Clarisse quickly clasped her hands and responded, Clarisse is deeply grateful for your kindness and for awakening my bloodline. However, I already have a master in my sect and cannot become your disciple. I hope you understand. Upon hearing this, the heavenly Yaoguai Supreme narrowed his eyes slightly and said, let alone this insignificant northern desolate realm, even in the eternal divine realm, aside from me, the heavenly Yaoguai Supreme and the saint, who would dare call themselves the master of the Nine Nether Empress, are you truly refusing to pay your respects? Feng Clarisse immediately showed a troubled expression. I cannot pay my respects. Clarisse will not betray her own master. Heavenly Yaoguai Supreme immediately materialized a long sword and sneered coldly. Since you cannot be mine, keeping you would only bring disaster. It's better to strangle you right before the heaven-soaring phoenix blade. Don't you agree? But from the moment my bloodline awakened, she was no longer the same Feng Clarisse she used to be. She directly sliced through the heavenly Yaoguai Supreme's attack with a single sword strike. However, the disparity in cultivation level made it quite strenuous for her to hold her ground. But unexpectedly, the heavenly Yaoguai Supreme struck again. With just a light command to kneel, he enveloped Feng Clarisse in terrifying spiritual power, making it incredibly difficult for her to even stand steady. But Feng Clarisse gritted her teeth and stubbornly held on. She had no intention of giving in so easily. Even when faced with such overwhelming spiritual pressure, she still insisted that she would not become a disciple. At that moment, countless spikes suddenly emerged from the floor of the great hall. Then a flash of cold light swept by in an instant, but heavenly Yaoguai Supreme reacted swiftly and narrowly dodged it. Now he was utterly enraged. Who dares to come? Show yourself. Then, a spatial rift suddenly tore open in the air behind him. Yaoguai Lan and Su Longesong suddenly emerged from it. Then he came to Feng Clarisse's side and said with concern, Disciple, you've worked hard. Just then the heavenly Yaoguai Supreme suddenly let out a roar. Where did this nameless nobody come from, daring to harm me? I will tear you to pieces. But Su Longesong suddenly reached out and pressed his hand firmly against the monster's face. Then, after violently flinging it away, he said coldly, How dare you spy on my disciple? You overestimate your abilities. And the expression on heavenly Yaoguai Supreme's face suddenly turned grim. This familiar spiritual energy lost for a millennium. It's you. Then, heavenly Yaoguai Supreme stomped his foot and charged out once again. But he suddenly grabbed Su Longesong's thigh and shouted loudly, So it's the immortal divine king. You should have said so earlier. How would I, your disciple, dare to snatch anything from you? Now Su Longesong is completely baffled. The divine king said the same thing as that old man earlier. Could it be that I look exactly like someone else? The woman was originally the peerless empress who swept through all realms 1,000 years ago. But to her surprise, she merely glanced at the man. She desired him to become her husband. Just moments ago, the mighty heavenly Yaoguai Supreme actually groveled before Su Longesong. He even shouted, So it's you, immortal divine king, who has arrived. Then he began to narrate on his own. During the great calamity of heaven and earth back then, to protect divine Queen Luolaria, you sent her to my heavenly illusion sanctuary. Since you're here now, it's time to take her away. Su Longesong was instantly bewildered. System, what's going on? Why don't I have this memory? The system was also helpless. In the original plot, Su Su Longesong had no interaction with the Divine Queen. It might be because of your transmigration that the timeline has become chaotic. There's no clear explanation for now. Meanwhile, the heavenly Yaoguai Supreme spoke again. It seems she has already left. In that case, you should leave quickly. The reappearance of the Divine King in the mortal world. Don't draw the people of the Divine Immortal Palace to my doorstep. I still want to lie low for a few more years. Seeing that the other party was urging him to leave, Su Longesong had no choice but to turn and depart. In that case, I'll take my leave. Watching Su Longesong and the others leave the main hall, Heavenly Yaoguai Supreme suddenly spat out a mouthful of ketchup. Then with a complex expression, he murmured, "Divine King, it seems you've forgotten that the cataclysm that destroyed all realms and worlds was actually caused by your beloved Divine Queen. You must find her no matter what." But Su Longesong could no longer hear it. He had already returned to the heavenly Yaoguai city. Upon seeing Jade Linglong, Yaoguai Lan and her daughters immediately became displeased. Where did this vixen come from? Bai Yunzhua sat with a look of disdain and said, "Su Longesong, don't you know him well enough?" Meanwhile, due to the tragic death of the Yaoguai Slain Alliance's young master, conflicts have erupted among the cultivators who left the mythic realm. But at this very moment, a fluctuation of spiritual chi suddenly appeared in midair. Then a woman adorned with a phoenix crown and radiant attire, stunning the world, slowly emerged from it. Her long snow-white hair cascaded down to her waist. Her beauty was so breathtaking it could steal one's breath away. And the black-robed figures below were already in shock, exclaiming, "Empress! The Empress has been resurrected!" And the others panicked upon hearing this. Is that the demoness they went to great lengths to resurrect? We're doomed now. But from the moment the heaven-evil Empress appeared, her gaze remained fixed on Su Longesong. Then she swiftly descended from mid-air. And with tears of joy she exclaimed, "Husband Luor, I've missed you so much." Countless thoughts of longing in the heart of the heaven-evil Empress. All transformed into joy and contentment upon seeing Su Longesong at this moment. She immediately threw herself into his arms. At this, the expressions on the faces of the women grew even more unpleasant. Their eyes were fixed intently on the heaven-evil Empress. Jade Linglong immediately sneered. Sure enough, he's a scumbag who leaves a trail of affection everywhere. Seeing the situation turning unfavorable, Su Longesong quickly detached from the puppet. He withdrew his consciousness back into his main body. Then he quickly pushed Luo Lyria away and said, "Miss, you've mistaken me for someone else. I am not your husband." Luo Lyria panicked immediately upon hearing this. "Husband, if you're saying this, there must be a reason you can't speak of. Luor doesn't care. Luor just wants to be with you." Upon hearing this, the robed figures immediately knelt down. "Empress, 1,000 years ago, you led our heavenly evil race to sweep across all realms. Now our clan is being hunted to this point. Please save us." As soon as the words fell, an icy voice, cold to the extreme, suddenly came from the woman's lips. "Get lost." The next second, the robed figures below were instantly pierced by countless icy rays. This woman truly recognizes this face of mine. Combined with what those people in the Heavenly Illusion Sanctuary said, could it be that I am the so-called Divine King? Thinking of this, Su Long quickly asked the system to check Luo Lyria's information. Name Luo Lyria. Ancient Luo God race's first divine maiden. Heaven Evil Empress. Bloodline cultivation level. Supreme stage pinnacle. After fully recovering her strength, she can reach the Saint 9 layer. Cultivation method. Luo God manual. Celestial tier cultivation method. Current favorability toward host. 99. After dealing with the black-robed man, Luo Lyria, her snow-white eyes instantly grew moist and glistening. She stared unblinkingly at Su Longesong. She didn't shy away from the gazes of the surrounding crowd. At that moment, a surge of dark energy erupted violently, and immense spiritual power shot up into the sky from the city. Su Longesong narrowed his eyes slightly at the sight. Such intense spiritual energy. This level of power is unprecedented in the northern desolate realm. This is the strength of the supreme stage. The sudden appearance of the powerful figure was none other than Wei Haitao, the master of the Yaoguai Slain Alliance. It's the alliance leader. The alliance leader has reached the supreme stage. We are saved. And the surviving black-robed figures quickly began to shout, "Welcome, Alliance Leader Supreme. May the Alliance Leader's fortune be as boundless as the heavens, and may ruling the Northern Desolate be within reach." "Alliance Leader, Your Excellency," but unexpectedly, Agent Wei suddenly stepped forward and said, "It's him. It's that Su Longesong who killed your son." The Empress had no time to catch up with her husband, whom she hadn't seen for 1,000 years. Unexpectedly, she was summoned away by the divine immortal palace. Just now, Wei Haitao emerged from seclusion after advancing to the supreme stage. Yet, he never expected to learn that his own son had tragically died at the hands of Su Longesong. Why didn't you protect him with your life? How dare you live on alone? Then he turned and charged toward Su Longesong. However, Su Longesong was not afraid at all. You killed the sect leader of my Sword Cloud Immortal sect. I will settle this score with you properly. As soon as the words fell, the two exchanged a punch. Wei Haitao didn't expect this person to be so young. He actually managed to block Supreme's attack. And Su Longesong isn't feeling too great either. My spiritual power can't be fully unleashed right now. Taking on Supreme head-on is really tough. Without hesitation, he then chose to activate the cheat. Damn system, open the system mall for me. He decisively exchanged for a Supreme experience card right away. The moment he used the experience card, he then unexpectedly discovered that there were humanoid puppet cards available in the mall. However, seeing him dazed, Wei Haitao charged at him once again. Su Longesong leaped into the air to dodge. He swiftly formed hand seals with both hands. Instantly, a terrifying golden spiritual power emanated from his body. Then with a single finger he pointed downward. A massive golden demon long phantom materialized in the void, carrying overwhelming spiritual power as it charged fiercely toward Wei Haitao. After taking the blow, Wei Haitao's face darkened instantly. The brutal aura emanating from that demon long was overwhelmingly powerful. Su Longesong sneered at the sight, scoffing. A mere supreme, easy to handle. After saying that, Su Longesong suddenly clenched his fist tightly. The golden demon long's massive jaws also clamped down simultaneously. The little ducklings panicked instantly. The alliance leader was gone, vanished right after emerging from seclusion. Those figures in black robes decisively closed in. This person must not be allowed to live. The heavenly evil race spared no effort to surround and eliminate him. Su Longesong then pulled out the new item he had just exchanged from the shop, ready to test its effects. The moment the puppet talisman was activated, several streaks of black light shot out abruptly from the talisman. The members of the heavenly evil race felt a sudden shock throughout their bodies, as if their souls had been struck by a tremendous blow. In an instant, their gazes became completely vacant. Heavenly evil race heed the command. Slaughter all in Yaoguaislain City, leave none alive. Instantly, agonizing screams surged throughout Yaoguaislain City. Meanwhile, Luo Lyria and Su Longesong were controlling the heavenly evil race. She originally wanted to go up and say something. But suddenly, a voice transmission came to her from the heavens above. Divine Queen, return to your throne at once. Seeing the divine immortal palace summoning her, she knew she could no longer linger. For now, she could only wait until everything was over before returning to find Su Longesong. Before long, all the minor creatures within Yaoguaislain City had been completely dealt with. Su Longesong immediately declared sternly that from now on, the Yaoguaislain alliance would completely vanish from the northern desolate realm. The heavenly evil race is stationed here, forbidden from engaging in deceitful acts or harming the common people in the slightest. Upon hearing this, the heavenly evil race immediately knelt respectfully, showing complete submission. The surrounding citizens immediately erupted in cheers. Sir Su, your martial spirit is unparalleled, reigning supreme for eternity. Meanwhile, Yi Maple, blending into the crowd, watched Su Longesong steal the spotlight without uttering a word. Emperor Devourer chuckled and said, he definitely wouldn't expect that while he's showing off, we've already raided his home. Without wasting a word, Yi Maple immediately took Emperor Devourer and made a run for it. Meanwhile, Su Longesong had already used the supreme puppet. I know that Yi Maple took Snow Glaze away. The scene shifts to Sky Cloud City on the border of the northern desolate realm. Upon arriving here, Yi Maple released the restraints on Snow Glaze and Demon Daosky. The enraged Demon Daosky initially intended to resist, but he was sent flying with a single punch from Yi Maple. Your spiritual power has been sealed by me. I advise you not to act recklessly, as I fear I might accidentally kill you and fail my mission. Seeing this, Snow Glaze immediately stepped forward to ask, what exactly is your purpose? Hearing this, Yi Maple quickly explained, Miss Glaze, please forgive my rudeness. I only resorted to this because I didn't want you to fall into Su Longesong's clutches. Su Longesong harbors deep-seated evil intentions and is no good man. One day you will understand my sincere efforts. This kid resorts to dirty tricks because he can't beat Sir Su. Miss Snow, you must not listen to him. Yi Maple didn't bother to continue the argument. I need to go out for some business. The devouring emperor will ensure your safety. You are free to move around the city, but do not attempt to escape. The man had just found his maidservant and immediately offered a sky-high price in an attempt to acquire all 3 furnaces at once. Just now, Demon Daosky and Snowglaze, whose spiritual power had been sealed, had no choice but to go to the inn to eat and drink heartily. Demon Daosky was extremely furious. He never expected to fall for Yi Maple's trick. Then he whispered, "Miss Glaze, if you ever see Sir Su again, you must report that kid's actions." But Snowglaze didn't even lift her head. "You want to use others to do your dirty work? Save it." Demon Daosky, seeing that his scheme had been seen through, immediately retorted in a displeased tone. "We're both in the same boat, yet you've hurt my feelings so deeply." At that moment, a young man dressed in luxurious clothing suddenly walked into the tavern. Then he fixed his burning gaze intently on Snowglaze. He quickly walked over to Snowglaze's side and said, "Miss, although we have never met before, I feel a deep connection between us. It must be fate in this lifetime. I am the young master of Sky Cloud City. Would you do me the honor of accompanying me to the cloud auction tonight?" Snowglaze declined without even looking up, not interested. Xuehao never expected that he would be turned down. And Demon Daosky immediately mocked. "The self-righteous clown turns out to be you." Xuehao immediately grabbed Demon Daosky's head and smashed it into the table. "Where did this beggar come from? How dare you spout nonsense in my territory? I could crush you with just one hand." And only then did Demon Daosky remember that his spiritual power had been sealed. At that moment Xuehao stopped pretending. He let out a cold sneer without hesitation. "Give you an inch and you'll take a yard. All women in this world are merely my playthings. Woman, don't be so ungrateful." And Demon Daosky directly grabbed Xuehao's hand with his own. Enraged, Xuehao immediately pulled out a knife. He immediately thrust it toward Demon Daosky. But at that very moment, a stone suddenly shot out, interrupting Xuehao's movement. He immediately turned around and angrily shouted, "Who dares to ruin my plans?" Upon hearing this, Su Longesong smiled faintly and said, "I've heard that the Sky Cloud City is hosting the Tianyun auction tonight, with many distinguished guests gathered. If the young city lord treats guests this way, I'm afraid it will disappoint everyone. How about giving me some face and letting this matter end here?" Xuehao couldn't help but mutter to himself, "Such an overwhelming presence, and causing trouble now would only disrupt tonight's auction." With this thought, Xuehao turned and left with his lackeys in tow. Meanwhile, Snowglaze eagerly threw herself into Su Longesong's embrace. "You finally came. I thought I would never see you again." Demon Daosky, after Su Longesong helped him break the seal, he immediately launched an attack towards the Emperor Devourer. With just one strike, the Emperor Devourer was forced to reveal its true form. Then Demon Daosky respectfully said, "Sir Su, you have saved my lifetime and again. I offer this fragment of the Emperor's weapon to you. That person surnamed Yi has been relentlessly pursuing me." Su Longesong then signaled him to take Snowglaze back to the sect on his way before leaving. "Why don't you come back with me?" Su Longesong then turned around and said meaningfully, "Because tonight, many things unsuitable for children will happen here." That night, at the Sky Cloud City Furnace auction venue, the audience below is eagerly anticipating what top-tier furnace will appear tonight. And Yi Maple also wants to try his luck. After all, Sky Cloud City is famous for auctioning furnaces. Even if it can't compare to the 9 Nether Imperial Phoenix body under Su Longesong's command, it would still be a great achievement. Hidden in the shadows, Su Longesong secretly followed Yi Maple. He couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Even the esteemed Azure Long Saint has come to participate in such filthy auctions. It truly shows that the so-called Great Way disregards trivialities. In the eyes of certain transcendent immortal cultivators, all beings and other races are no different from ants. Sometimes it's really hard to tell who the true villain is. Before long, the auction host announced, "Welcome, esteemed guests, to the auction venue. This year's furnace includes some who are obedient and well-behaved. There are also those who are enchantingly beautiful and wildly untamed. And there are those who are pure and adorable. In a word, whatever you desire, we have it all. No more talk, let's get straight to the goods. Starting bid, 50,000 spirit stones." As soon as the words were spoken, the price of each furnace suddenly skyrocketed to 300,000 spirit stones. Listening to the surrounding bids, Yi Maple's face turned dark. These people in shady businesses are just too rich, aren't they? But just then, Su Longesong suddenly spoke up and made a bid. "I want both number 2 and 3. 3 million spirit stones. Any other bids?" Not then,